Hi.
We're in a different location today.
Exciting. Where are we?
We're in Marietta, Georgia.
Also known as Atlanta.
Why are we here, Craig?
Your brother's getting married.
Mazel tov to him.
Shouts out to Adam and Caroline.
I'm getting a sister.
What am I getting?
Free drinks. We went to Slutty Vegan.
Shouts out to Slutty Vegan.
Yes, sponsor
and
us.
Pinky Cole.
What did we get from Slutty Vegan?
So Slutty Vegan, all the menu items are slut themed. So we got, I think the burgers were called Super Sluts. So we got 2 Super Sluts, 1 no tomato, add pickles, 1 just add pickles. Cause
Guess who doesn't like tomato?
Haley.
Guess who's weird and picky about dumb random shit?
Haley. And then we got the best part about the restaurant, honestly, is the vibes, the good vibes.
Yeah.
And the best part about the food is probably the bun and the sauce for me. The bun is actually a good hamburger bun. It's like a Hawaiian bun.
Yeah, Hawaiian style.
I feel like you go to vegan restaurants sometimes and the burger is good, but they get like a stale ass fucking bun.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like, why? We deserve good buns.
I know Haley's got a couple good buns.
I gasped. Okay, we got the fried pickles that had a blackberry mayo sauce.
Oh yeah, that was...
They're called skinny dippers.
The blackberry mayo sauce was actually just kind of like ketchup.
Yeah, it was.
Was
really
it mayo?
Good.
Does it say mayo?
Yeah, it was mayo based.
It might be blueberry also.
Blackberry mayo
shit.
sauce.
The whole time I thought it was just like ketchup but made with blueberries instead of tomatoes. Because it tasted like it. It tasted like ketchup. The bacon was pretty realistic.
Dude, I want to go back. I really want the...
We kind of fucked up not getting the shrimp thing.
Yeah, they have a lot of vegan shrimp stuff, and I'm still reluctant to get vegan shrimp, but I feel like if you got it, this was the place to try it, because...
I will say that the whole time we've been in Atlanta, I've been like the biggest fucking baby ever about food. I feel like Brooklyn and New York in general has just spoiled us with all of the vegan food options. So
yeah.
We go anywhere else and we're like, I'm so hungry. We have to eat a burrito with no cheese on it.
Yeah. You know, it's a thing, and then none of my friends are vegan, and none of my family members are vegan. So, you know, it's fine. No one's like an asshole. No one's like, oh my god, like, fuck you. Like, have fun eating lettuce or whatever. So, yeah, it's been a lot of... Oh, and then we went to Whole Foods. Shout out to Whole Foods.
Shout out to the hot bar at Whole Foods.
Dude.
In East Cobb.
Yeah, in East Cobb.
Well, maybe.
The fucking Whole Foods in East Cobb has chicken, fried, tofu, and it is the best fucking tofu. Like, seriously, might have to go back.
Yeah, we should, after we're done recording this, take your parents' car
and go. I am down. While we've been here, we watched Shallow Hal.
Slightly high.
Slightly high when my parents' next to us.
Secret high.
A secret high treat. And then we watched The Mummy again.
No, we didn't. Come on. We only watched part of it.
We watched part of The Mummy. Did we watch anything else? Oh, fuck, Scream 4. But I passed out.
Scream 4, pretty good.
I passed
liked
out.
it.
Did not see the plot twist at the end coming.
Scream 4, cool, because every, like, main cast member from Scream, basically, like, that's been in the movies, returned.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the horror movie meta jokes are updated to be about remakes and reboots.
I love that.
It's that's very on brand for Scream. So.
And then, of course, so we're in Georgia. We're currently recording this in Georgia, and we brought the Friday the 13th Part 6 Jason Lives Blu-ray, and I texted my mom just like asking if we had a Blu-ray player, and if you know, like, I don't think many of our listeners know my parents, but like, you ask them like one thing, and then it becomes like basically a project like for them. So I asked if there was a Blu-ray player, and I guess my parents have like a box of just like electronics that they don't like use at all anymore, and they just throw it all in this box. And so my dad went through the box and found a Blu-ray player and set it up and like informed me and Craig every step of the way. The setup. So when we got here, there was a
pretty nice Blu-ray player.
Yeah, it's a great Blu-ray player. We got here, it was set up in our room. So I thought that they would be down to watch it with us, but obviously they were not, since they set it up in the guest room, and I don't think that my parents would have wanted to lay in bed with us while watching Friday the 13th Part 6. So
damn.
sad, but my mom did say that she watched I think she watched the first one.
She said her words exactly were, I might have seen it when I was 22.
Yeah.
In theaters.
Iconic. And my mom was a fucking 80s queen. She had like the coolest hair ever. She's a curly-headed queen like me. Hair inspo.
The movie we're doing for this episode is Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives.
1986.
What's interesting, so we have the Scream Factory Collector's Edition box set of all the movies. And I was like going through looking at the titles of the movies, and so there's the first one, Friday the 13th. Then there's Friday the 13th Part 2. And that starts a trend of like part being the subtitle instead of just like 2. It's like part is a part of the title.
Yeah.
So there's Friday the 13th Part 2, then Part 3, but then the colon comes in and it's Part 3, 3D. And then there's, so Friday the 13th Part 4, which is referred to often, isn't on the box. It doesn't say Part 4.
Yeah. It just
some
says
places
the final.
online,
Yeah.
like fan art and like maybe some promotional material says Part 4, but it just says Friday the 13th, the final chapter. And then there's Friday the 13th, Part 5, a new beginning.
Yeah.
Also, it goes back and forth between the number being listed as a Roman numeral or like a normal like numerical alphabet number.
Mm-hmm.
So I just noticed all this because I was doing the covers.
Yeah.
But this one, I think, I wish I had the DVD in my hand, but I'm pretty sure,
it's all the way upstairs.
like, the way the cover is stylized is, like, Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, Part 6. Like, the title of this movie might be Jason Lives.
Yeah. It's, like, Jason Lives. There's the gravestone. So basically it has a hockey mask with lights shining through it. It's like backlit. The gravestone says Jason Lives. So that's the first, if you're reading from top down, it says Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, Part 6, and then under that it says Kill or Be Killed.
So, yeah, I guess it's just Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, though, for, like, I guess for, like, all intents and purposes, you could just say that, but...
Yeah.
Sometimes you see this movie listed as Jason Lives, so, yeah. It's just an interesting thing about the titles.
Yeah.
And then it gets really crazy once, like, they stop doing the numbers, and then they kind of bring it back again. But after they stop doing the number system is Jason Takes Manhattan. That's Part 8. And then there's Jason Goes to Hell. Just simply Jason Goes to Hell. Maybe it says The Final Friday.
And then there's Jason X.
Yeah. Which could
is
be
technically
Jason
10. But it's also like
in space.
Yeah.
X.
Which was trending on Twitter the other day.
When we went to Slutty Vegan, we went with our good homie Brenna.
Shout out to Brenna.
Shout out to Brenna. They are a fan of the podcast. They listen. Also a horror fan. Also a long-time friend. To me, anyways. Haley just met them, but...
Yeah.
Shouts out to Brenna.
Yeah.
Brenna turned us on to this, because neither of us are really active on Twitter, but showed us that Jason X is trending on Twitter. Okay, so this journalist who works for The Guardian named Elle Hunt. She, like, does film reviews, like, writes for The Guardian in the, like, entertainment section, I guess. Talks about media and such. Has a Twitter, and on that Twitter, I guess they, like most people, post hot takes and shit, just to, like, get a rise out of people. So one of the things they said was that horror cannot be set in space. That was the thing that triggered everyone. They just said, like, if a movie is in space, it can't be a horror movie. It's science fiction movie.
Yeah.
Because horror has to be something that's familiar that is then made unfamiliar by, like, paranormal events or, you know, like a killer's on the loose and you don't feel safe anymore in your, like, cabin or whatever. But of course that's not true. I don't think that's true at all. I think Alien is a horror movie.
Yeah.
The whole Alien franchise, most, like, the sci-fi horror is a genre. There's, like, the movie Event Horizon. There's a lot of movies set in space, like, I don't know. There's a lot of movies that deal with aliens that are, like, basically slasher movies for all intents and purposes. But Jason X takes place in space, and it's basically the same plot of Friday the 13th. But Jason kills people, but it's in space now.
Somehow.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet, but...
Yeah, part 6 is, like, the latest that besides the remake, like, we've basically always ended at part 6, so I'm looking forward to the next however many movies we have, the 7th one,
But isn't that crazy that, like, the Friday the 13th franchise, and specifically the 10th movie in the franchise, was trending on Twitter just randomly in 2021? I feel like there's interest in, like, Friday the 13th.
Yeah, maybe we can ride this wave.
I wish they would make a new one.
Yeah, that would be...
Similar to the way they're doing it with the Halloween franchise, because there's another one of those coming out this year, apparently.
I mean, we could literally get like, either a new Tommy Jarvis, like, thing. It would be kind of cool if they got Corey Feldman, like, back to
He's such a nut job now. He makes music.
But it would be cool if we saw him as Tommy Jarvis again.
Y'all should check out Corey Feldman's music. If you remember Corey Feldman from our final chapter episode, I was talking about him. He's in, like, a million different movies. Lost Boys, Stand By Me. All kinds of shit he was in the 80s. But he now is an adult that makes terrible music. Like, just the worst music ever. He gets roasted online for it all the time.
Mean.
He has an album that you should look up the album cover. It's like Corey Feldman, something like Stairway to Heaven or something like that.
Oh my god.
It's like, type in album.
Okay.
Angelic to the Core. It's Corey Feldman with, like, a Skrillex haircut being pulled out of, like, molten lava. He was in hell by two, like, Playboy bunnies in angel suits.
Okay.
And there's, like, 10 different fonts. It looks like it was made on MS Paint.
This is fucking sick.
It's terrible. You should listen to it.
Yeah, should we? Okay.
Play a little snippet.
Hey, everybody.
So that's a little
Oh
snippet
my
of
god.
Corey Feldman performing live.
Oh my god.
So
That was on the fucking Today Show.
he's a nut job. He's crazy.
Oh my. Wow, I wish I had never learned this.
So
I
that child star grew up to be really weird.
Yeah, it's okay though.
But
But anyways,
Corey
I would
Feldman,
like to see him in a remake.
Corey Feldman is our first actor to play Tommy Jarvis in the final chapter, and he has an entire arc that ends with this movie that we're talking about today, Part 6.
Yeah. And the next actor to play him was this guy named John Shepard, and after doing like research for the podcast, basically was asked to reprise his role, obviously for Part 6. And something that I didn't know was that this guy is like an evangelical Christian. And you know the scene in Part 6 where like the girl is like praying so Jason like leaves her alone or whatever?
Oh yeah, the small camper.
So like he was like basically was like I don't know if this is like if I should do this because it doesn't really like morally align with my values, but then saw that was in the script and he was like, oh, I'm interested or whatever. But then I think he just like did a different movie and then he retired from acting. So
like
I thought
Jason cares about your religion.
I know. Basically, if you're Christian, well, maybe, I mean, like, you could argue that, like, Jason punishes, like, sinners or what the fuck ever, because he does, like, kill, like,
Jason is
sexually
God.
active. Whoa.
Jason's no longer a bear. Jason is God.
Jason is...
Judge, jury,
Jason
and
is
executioner.
Christ. He has risen. It's Easter. Well, it was Easter.
This is our Easter episode.
Yeah, this is our Easter episode. Damn. We should have added little bunny ears to the cover art.
Damn. So there's 3 different Tommy Jarvis actors. There's Corey Feldman. There's this guy.
John Shepard.
And then, personally, my favorite version of Tommy Jarvis is the one from this movie, Jason Lives. And the actor is...
Tom Matthews.
What else is Tom Matthews? He was in Return of the Living Dead. That's right. He plays, like, the main guy in Return of the Living Dead. There's actually... So, if you remember in the last episode, we were talking about Demon, who has to run to the outhouse because he ate a bunch of enchiladas and Jason kills him in the outhouse. Demon was also one of the punks in Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, wow.
Vic also might have been a punk in Return of the Living Dead. So this actor, or this director from Part 5, definitely, like...
Collective.
There's some... They share actors, those 2 movies. Return
Yeah.
of the Living Dead and, like, the Friday the 13th franchise.
That's interesting. This one was written and directed by Tom McLaughlin, who, like, didn't do anything else that I noted, but...
It's so interesting, too, because he seems like the most established, like, artistic voice of all the directors in the Friday the 13th franchise. Like, this movie's direction is its own direction compared to all these other movies that in the franchise.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most distinct.
It's
and
super
stylistic.
Yeah. And also, so this was filmed like literally a year after, and I thought it was like filmed in the 90s or something. Like it looks.
This is 86.
It looks different. It is extremely meta.
It's like a blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
I feel like most people, they think like Friday the 13th Part 6, like especially if you weren't alive when these were coming out, you probably like someone's like watch Friday the 13th and you just know like probably the first one's good and all the others are trash. Friday the 13th is like not like that.
Yeah.
I would say like some of the best ones are later on where you wouldn't expect, like most people like, nowadays expect sequels to be trash.
Yeah.
But Part 6, surprisingly, like maybe the best movie in the franchise.
Definitely in our opinion. And we all know our opinion is...
Word.
Something that's also funny about the production, and then we'll get into the plot. This is the only Friday the 13th film that doesn't have any nudity.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
We did not even, like, I didn't even realize this until I, like, read this. And I was like...
Wow.
And it doesn't need nudity. It's so fucking good. This is our favorite one, and there's no tits to
Is there even
be
like
seen.
a sex scene?
There's a fucking wild sex scene that is so funny. It's the one where they're in the, like, trailer, and she's like, "You're the best."
Yeah, I like
the
that.
Best. It's amazing.
Wow, I didn't notice that. I've never.
But they're fully clothed, so I don't know why they went for that, but
Well, this movie, like, you don't even notice, like, any of anything like that. Like, you wouldn't notice anything missing because I feel like it's just jam-packed with, like, action and kills and, like, moody atmosphere, like, creepy, like, vibes are all throughout this movie. It's, like, very gothic. It's, like, the, like, first cold open scene is just covered in fog. Machine, like, fog. Yeah. They're digging up a grave. It's crazy.
It's, like, Burton-esque. Almost.
Yeah, it's like Tim Burton.
This movie is definitely, like, standout, but it's also obviously follows the same formula. Because they all do. Shall we get into it?
Yeah, let's go through this plot.
Just go through it. Well, so the setting is Crystal Lake. We're back in Crystal Lake, but they renamed the town Forest Green, to try to erase history. And we're not really sure how long after this takes place, after part 5, but it basically is insinuated that some time has passed. Maybe Tommy has been in multiple other institutions because he's with, like, a completely different character, and they sort of just, like, lightly talk about what happened at Pinehurst, but, like, they retconned that because, like, the initial idea for this movie was to have Tommy be the antagonist, be Jason, and since part 5 was so ill received by fans
because Jason wasn't in it.
Yeah, they're like, all right, let's just bring back Jason, and boy do they. So Tommy and his buddy Alan are driving to the graveyard where Jason is laying to rest. And, you know, Alan's just kind of going along with it. Tommy's like, I need to make sure he's dead. He has, like, a gas canister thingy. He's going to just, like,
completely desecrate Jason's corpse. And, like, he's just going to find Jason's corpse, his resting place, dig it up, and mutilate and burn Jason, basically. Like, he's going to... If this were real life and Jason were just a killer that's now dead, this would seem entirely crazy, but because we are, like, you know, the viewer is in on it with Tommy Jarvis. Yeah. We know, like, Tommy, you are the voice of the viewer. You know, like, Jason is going to come back or whatever. But, so what happens in this scene is they get there, like, Tommy is, like, frantic, basically, starts digging up Jason's corpse with a shovel. Alan is helping. And then, like, they open Jason's casket and see his face covered in worms.
Yeah, he's like a complete skeleton, like, dead-ass corpse.
And I guess this is triggering for Tommy because, like, basically his whole life was ruined by Jason. Mm-hmm. So he literally goes up to the cemetery fence, pulls off one of the spiked stakes that is, like, on the fence.
Yeah, like a metal
vertical
thing.
Like, piece of iron. He, like, somehow rips it off the gate and just starts stabbing Jason.
Yeah.
He starts stabbing Jason's dead body.
And his like, voice, like, the voiceover flashback of, like...
Die!
Corey
Die!
Feldman's like voice is like die, die, like echoing, and he's saying it, and it's like they're freaking the fuck out. Like Alan's like, you gotta fucking stop.
He's like, whoa, man.
Yeah. And then he just like leaves the steak like in it, and then he's like, okay, I need to go grab the fucking like thing and burn this guy. Just then.
Just as the fucking steak is in his body, it starts like pouring rain while they're out there. And a fucking blue ass lightning bolt, like, it looks like the effects look like it was drawn on the actual like negative or something.
Yeah.
Like it looks like a animation, like hand drawn type thing. It's cheesy.
Yeah.
It like blue lightning strikes this lightning rod that's sticking out of Jason, and then of course Jason just like lifts up, right?
Yeah.
And
well, I think it strikes him twice. Like once it's sort of like we see it go through his body, and then another strike happens.
And it's kind of like sparks, like an explosion in the movie. And that's where when I was watching this movie, I was like, okay, the lighting for this scene, this cold open, way more on point than any other movie. Like the lighting looks like it's like Tim Burton-esque. It's glamour. Like it's fucking, everything is perfectly lit, unnatural looking, but cool, like Hollywood vibe. So there's that. There's like explosions, like pyrotechnics and shit. There's like this drawn lightning bolt. It just looks like a more polished, like high budget Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jason ends up kind of like the last time we saw the corpse, it was like full skeleton, like not really recognizable as Jason, but then somehow his like body, because of the lightning or whatever, it just like reanimates him, and now he's just like this zombie giant, like
wormy,
indestructible corpse Jason, maggot infested, and he just fucking gets out of the grave. Tommy and Alan are like, fuck, and he just rips Alan's heart out. That's the first thing Jason
he punches
does.
through his hand through Alan's chest, and on the other side you see his hand holding Alan's heart. Heart punch.
Yep. And then Alan falls into the grave, and the coffin closes on him, and Tommy's like, fuck,
I'm getting out of here, man.
Yeah. And Jason, I guess Tommy like brought the hockey mask with him, because Jason just picks up the hockey mask, puts it on, and he's like,
we back.
And then we get
he's
the
like,
fucking like
he's like, Roy Burns, don't know him.
And then we get the like fucking iconic James Bond-esque.
Yeah, so after Jason kills Alan and Tommy flees, you get a shot of Jason's eye. There's actually a few shots of Jason's eye, I noticed, which is interesting here because he's like a corpse, he's like a zombie, but you see his like eyeball moving around and looking around, and it's really creepy. It's like just one eye. And what were we talking about? The James Bond thing. So the camera zooms in on that eye even further, and it's like a circle, like I think in one of the James Bond movies with like Pierce Brosnan or something. There's a circle, like a barrel of a gun that you look through, and then James Bond's like full figure turns and like looks at the camera and like does like a Bond-esque like head turn, and that same thing is in this movie.
Yeah.
But it's Jason like holding a machete.
It's so sick.
Turning, and then it says, and then the music starts, do 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 do, and it's like Jason lives. Every one of these movies has a cold open. This is the best one. Would you disagree?
I agree wholeheartedly. It's so good. It's so good. And it's so weird because like the first time we watched this, we hadn't seen the
saw
final
3.
chapter. We had seen 3. So we're like, who the fuck is this guy? What the fuck is happening?
Who's Tommy Jarvis?
What the hell? Like, so...
When Tommy is, like, stabbing Jason, like, poking Jason, he's like, die, die, die. We're like, what the fuck? Who is that?
Why is he just, like, killing the corpse? Like...
I'm like, who is saying die?
Yeah, we really... I mean, we watched this shit out of order as fuck. But... now that we've revisited it, after watching these chronologically and talking about them at length, it's so cool to see, like, the flashback sort of vibes. So, yay. Okay. So, Tommy leaves. He's, like, on his way to go warn the police. And while he's doing that... 2 of the head camp counselors, this is also the first Friday the 13th movie where we actually see camp in session. So it's like the day before camp is, like, the campers are about to be there. And so the 2 head counselors are driving to camp, and they see Jason just, like, in the middle of this muddy road. And, like, it's a girl counselor and a guy counselor named Darren and Elizabeth.
And remember, it's raining from when he got electrocuted still. So they're driving around in the muddy, like, campgrounds.
Yeah, so they're approaching him. They see him in the middle of the road. The girl is like, dude, I've seen enough scary movies to know that this guy's not friendly. We should head back. So they start backing up, and they get stuck in the mud. So they're basically between a rock and a hard place. The rock being mud, the hard place being Jason with a spear. So
staring them down.
So they're just kind of like, what the fuck do we do? Darren is like, I have a gun. So I'm just going to, like, scare this guy. She's like, you're a dumbass, but fine. So he gets out. He's like, get out of the road, all this shit. Jason just is unmoved. And then he stabs with his, like, little spear. He stabs the first 2 car tires out. And the guy is trying to, like, shoot him. So, I think even before he shoots him or something, or he might have shot him and seen that he was an undead killing machine, he gets stabbed just, like, in the stomach. So, rip, and then she is freaking the fuck out. She climbs out of the car. Oh, wait, Jason, like, stabs through the front window. She's trying to climb out of the car. She's crawling in the mud. She's getting stuck in the mud. Basically, she ends up in a mud
puddle. Tries to give Jason money.
Oh, yeah. She
sees Jason, and she, like, pulls out her wallet and, like, holds some bills up, and Jason's like, nah.
And that he disappears. She's, like, fumbling with her wallet. She's, like, he's, like, right over her. Then she doesn't see him at all. And then she, like, looks up, and Jason's above her with the spear, and he stabs through her mouth. And we just hear her, like, we hear, ah! And then, like, some gurgling, because she, like, her head is in, like, the puddle, and then we just see, like, bubbles come out of the puddle.
I want to point out to you guys, like, more than any other movie in this series, I want you guys, if you're listening to our podcast and you're not watching along with these movies, you should watch this movie. And while you're watching the movie, notice every cut in the movie. It's like a fucking, like, how to make a good cut.
Yeah.
From scene to scene. Every cut somehow references the previous thing that just happened in a funny way.
Yeah.
It's like, it'll be like gurgling, and then the next scene is like someone's like using a blender or something. Or like,
yeah, or like someone is like impaled, and then the next scene is like the cop like crushing the roach or whatever.
Or
like,
someone asks a question, and then the next scene it cuts and then you're in a completely different place and they kind of like answer the question.
Yeah, I fucking love. I mean, I live for that shit as an editor. I love like obvious edits and like kind of like. Again, it's like a very meta humor, like good shit.
I feel like this movie is one of the only ones in the franchise where you could actually like break down the filmmaking techniques and like they kind of hold up. Like you could think about it a little bit harder maybe, or like look at what, like you could watch it and just enjoy it as like a Friday the 13th movie. But if you think about like the set pieces and stuff and how everything is constructed, I feel like it's a little bit better than all the other. It's like in a league of its own, kind of.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the director, but he hasn't done a lot of other stuff that we could say this is his style. It's just like he did this one cool movie.
Yeah, and I guess we should probably look into him and watch more because I liked it. Anyways, the next morning, we're at the police station. Tommy Jarvis has been arrested, so he's like in jail. And he's talking about like Jason is out and he's loose or whatever. And we meet all of the camp counselors. So we meet Megan, who is the police chief's daughter. We have Sissy Baker, this guy Court Andrews, who's the only other male counselor at the camp. Paula, and Paula. But yeah, so Tommy like meets them. He tells them about Jason. They basically ignore him, but Megan is like, he's hot.
Basically.
So in the woods, like in the afternoon, we see the wackiest scene to date.
Love this scene.
There's two men. They're like, there's the goofiest like fake like military like like Yankee Doodle fucking song playing, and they're just like in the woods like wearing camo, hiding. They have like paintball guns.
It's the type of music that plays in like that Bill Murray comedy like Stripes or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that the name of it? It's like, or I think even the same song maybe is used in like Caddyshack when Bill Murray is okay, that might be it. The music sounds like the music that is playing behind Bill Murray's character in Caddyshack while he's like going to war against the gopher. They're from an office.
Yeah,
too.
they're at a. Okay.
It's funny how they like inject it with backstory. These characters that don't matter at all. They're like playing paintball for like an office party.
They're like it's literally a corporate paintball party, and they get shot by their like female boss, and they're demasculated. Emasculated.
I think.
They're emasculated. They're just like super pissed, and she's like really. She honestly reminds me so much of Diane Keaton, but she's not. She's just some random actress. And she's like really rubbing in that she like killed them. She's like, don't be shy. Like put on the bandanas, and they have this bandana that says "dead" on it.
So these two goofballs are walking around because they just got shot with paintballs by their female boss with headbands that just say "dead."
Yeah.
And you're like,
Interesting. Then we see another person that had also gotten eliminated by the woman boss, and he's just like a total misogynist, like fucking like angrily chopping up the fucking like brush. He has a machete, of course he does, and he stumbles upon Jason, who takes him and just hurtles him onto a tree, so he gets impaled through the head by a like tree branch. And Jason's like, a machete. So he picks up the machete and walks away, and then we get the iconic Jason fast walking with that dump truck ass.
Yeah, and his yellow gardening gloves.
Yes, I need everyone to Google fucking Jason ass. Well, Jason Voorhees ass.
Lots of Jasons in this world with asses.
Yes, yeah, maybe do Jason Voorhees ass, and I guarantee you, it's the fucking second picture.
Tight pants. He's got some tight pants. He's thick.
Dummy thick. He is dummy thick in this movie.
Look up the Jason in this movie. Who plays him?
Ooh.
I like to shout out the actors. He's only in Jason Lives, it looks like. C.J. Graham. Honestly, I really like Ted White's Jason from Part 4. But I think the costuming looks a little bit more low budget in Part 4. Here, the costuming looks like ahead of its time, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like he could be, like, that's just Jason. That could be, like, Jason in 2021. You know, like, it's...
Yeah. Plus...
The way his like, whole outfit is designed looks good.
Yeah.
It looks like everything fits right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like they went to the thrift store and bought him, like, some overalls or something. It looks like he's actually, like, wearing a costume.
Yeah. He's, like, full... I would say that we... Like, this might be peak Jason.
Yeah, I would say that if you want to see Jason at his most Jason, if you want to see the Jason that people are going to be, like, referencing, I would say it's this Jason.
Yeah.
Unkillable, like, monster hulking Jason with a machete. He's got, like, the gray pants, yellow gloves.
And a dump truck ass.
Yeah. Dummy thick Jason.
So he's on his way. We see a nice little, we see a female gaze, if you will, of Jason's ass.
Yeah, after Jason spent so many movies about to grab ass of all these, like, hot...
Finally, the camera is reversed.
Finally, the camera is like, okay, Jason, like, we know you got a little bit of a bubble butt. Let's get a handful.
Oh my god. So, he approaches the three goofballs, the female boss and the two idiots that she eliminated in her corporate paintball match. And he literally kills all three of them with one machete swipe, like decapitates all three of them in one go.
Triple decapitation.
Iconic. Then we see the last paintballer in the fucking, like, in this, like, corporate paintball party who has glasses and a bucket hat and, like, he basically looks like he's, like, a total dweeb. Like, he's, like, a fucking nerd, and he has his little, like, paintball gun, and he's just, like, we hear this stupid army music again, and he stumbles upon Jason. Jason's, like, just holding a bloody machete. This guy shoots Jason in the chest with a paintball gun. We see the paint, like, explode on the chest. And also, we see, weirdly, Jason has, like, maybe two bullet holes, but, like, basically what looks like two hard nipples.
It looks like his nipples were so razor sharp and hard that they pierced through his button-down shirt. Like...
It looks so weird.
I'm definitely going to post this to the Instagram, so look out for that if you want to see what I'm talking about. Jason has, like, full-on holes on his nipples. Like, it draws attention to Jason's body.
Yeah. So, technically, we did see two tits, and they were Jason.
Yeah, Jason's beefy nipples.
So, basically, this guy starts just running the fuck away, and we see... Hi. Hello. What's up?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow. Just kidding.
It's okay. You want to be in the podcast?
Sure.
Say hi to my mom.
Hey.
What's up?
My car, if you want.
Okay. Anyways, my mom, everyone. Fuck. Okay. So,
Back to Jason's hard nipple talk.
So, after, the guy tries to shoot Jason with, a paintball gun and fails, he just starts running away and Jason chases after him, and then we move on to the next scene. Next, we are in the Camp Forest Green, Crystal Lake, and the kids have officially arrived. There's just like a bus full of boys and girls of varying ages, and there's only one male counselor and 3 female counselors. So, and just a refresher, the counselors are Court, who's a boy, Sissy, and Paula, and Megan, who is the sheriff's daughter. So, they're all like, oh god, the kids are here, and then we move on to the next scene, which is, the Sheriff Garris, or Jarris? Garris. They're following Tommy. So Tommy, like, has his little pickup truck, and he's driving, and they're like, we'll escort you out of town, basically. So they're following him, just in case he decides to, like, pull some shit. And the sheriff is like, he's gonna pull some shit, just fucking watch. And, of course, Tommy's like, okay, I need to prove that Jason has escaped and that he's alive, so I'm going to go to the graveyard. So he swerves to the graveyard. The police follow him. They chase him throughout the graveyard and stuff, and he gets tackled to the ground. There's a groundskeeper at the graveyard who's a drunk, and he, earlier in the movie, like, saw that Jason's grave was dug up, and he was like, well, I don't want to get in trouble for this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and, like, redig the grave. So he buries what he thinks is Jason, but is actually Tommy Jarvis's, like, friend, Alan, again. So Jason's grave is normal, and Tommy looks crazy. So they're just like,
in that scene where he finds that the grave has been desecrated, and he sees it's all dug up, and he sees, like, an arm. Mm-hmm. He's like, you could have at least, the graveskeeper, love this character. This movie has tons of great characters. This character reminds me of Crazy Ralph, but even better.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, he's like, sees the arm hanging out of the coffin in the grave that's all dug up, and he's like, you could have at least put him back in there, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, crazy kids. Or whatever. He's like mumbling to himself, drinking from a bottle of whiskey. It's like boot whiskey. And he says something about, like, I don't deserve to lose my job over this. Like, I graduated high school. I worked hard. He's like this old, drunk, like, graveskeeper.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm the only one in my family who graduated high school. And saying all this shit to the viewer. And it's like, whoa, dude. There's some issue. You got some family issues.
Yeah.
Like, you're living in this one-horse town. I'm sure it's hard to get a job. There's only, like, 15 jobs in this town.
Literally.
And you, like, worked hard for your one job.
And every once in a while,
you like to have a
the
drink.
workforce gets killed off by a
Jason.
fucking undead killer.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, he covers that completely up. He's like, yeah, I don't know. That guy seems crazy. It's been normal this whole time. Totally, there's been no tampering with the grave at all. And so the cops are like, fucking Tommy Jarvis, typical bullshit from him. So they, like, literally handcuff him, drive him out of town. They're, like, at the fucking, like, exit, or, like, the entrance to the highway or whatever. And the cop is the sheriff's like, don't come back here or I literally will kill you. And Tommy's like, fuck.
Well, that's another funny scene because the main cop, Garrus, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean that the main girl, the final girl, if you will, her last name is something. Her name's
Megan Garris.
Megan Garris's dad, the cop. He's got like this big mustache. He's kind of like a skinny dude, and he's with his partner, who it's apparently like he's a new cop or something, or like he just got a new gun. It's like
yeah, he just got.
And he's
this,
like,
weird...
he's been itching to use this new gun, and it's like this pistol with a
fucking
scope on it, laser scope. He's like, and the guy he seems like a slasher, like serial killer.
Yeah.
The cop's like drooling, like pointing this laser at, like he's gonna shoot Tommy. He's like pointing it at Tommy's forehead.
Yeah.
He's like, he's been itching to shoot somebody with this thing.
Yeah.
And then he says, wherever it goes kaboom.
Yeah, it's so cheesy.
And then that line is said again later.
Later.
When it's turned on him.
Yeah, which I love. We should talk about the day at camp. Like,
yeah.
okay.
So
let's...
Court, is that his name?
Yeah.
This character Court is like, he's like this California, like, whatever, bro. Type.
He, like, wears crop tops.
He's, like, wearing a crop top. He's got, like, a mullet and an earring. And he's just, like, standing around this pile of rocks. And all these, like, little, like, male, like, little boy campers are just standing around him in a circle. And he's like, yeah, so this was, like, Indian burial grounds. And... yeah, if you did this, if you, like, mess with the Indian burial grounds, you'll die.
It's, like, a complete... he, like, basically does, like, a complete improvised scene with rocks, basically. And one of the kids goes, I think he says something like, if this is the most exciting thing of this summer, we're in big trouble. And then it cuts to Jason walking.
Yeah. And... then there's a scene where we're in the cabin with all the little... it's like the girls' cabin.
Yeah.
And they're like...
they're just showing them sleeping, right?
well, even before that. So during the day, there was a scene where, like, I guess Megan Garris is, like, addressing all of the campers. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to do this and this and this and this. She's, like, talking. And something that she's like, it's like she's kind of talking in the background and something else is happening.
Yeah.
And they're all listening to that. It's like, basically, Haley said that, yeah, basically at camp you're just trying to, like, come up with shit to entertain campers.
she's like, we're gonna not eat Brussels sprouts. And everyone's like, yay! And she's like, she's like, just like, literally, there was one time where
we're gonna go play in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Like, they're all just like, yay! Yay! And, like, it reminded me of this time that I worked at a day camp in Boulder, like, my senior year. And I literally just made up a game. I played this with kids for, I think it kept them occupied for, like, 35 minutes. I basically just said... go to this side of the room if you like peanut butter. Go to this side of the room if you like Nutella. And then I was just like, 3, 2, 1, go! And then, like, kids would just, like, run. And then I'd just be like, do you like broccoli? Yes or no? And then people would just, like, and I was just, like, pulling shit out of my ass. And they just ran back and forth.
I went to day camp just while my parents were at work during the summer. And it was at the YMCA. And basically, like, the counselors, like the people watching us at the YMCA, were just basically like 16-year-old teens from the town. And I remember, like, every day basically, like towards the end of the day, we would like play games. And one of the games that was pretty popular for us to play was, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like be as still as possible. it was like try to like breathe without moving. Like, just like lay down on the ground or like sit cross-legged and don't move at all, and hope and if the counselor notices you move or speak or do anything, you're out of the game and you don't win or whatever. So, and it's like last one standing.
Oh my god!
So it's like hours of you just like laying there trying not to make a sound, trying not to move. And I'm just
Dude, you were psychologically manipulated.
I'm like, what I would always do, okay, I remember this so clearly.
Craig is, if you can't hear it well, he is now on the ground.
So this
okay,
was
I'm
my
gonna narrate it. Okay.
I would do like this, or like hands under me.
Okay, Craig, so Craig is laying flat on the ground.
So I would be like in a gym floor at the Y.
His hands are under his, like,
belly, basically.
Propping him up.
And so
some support.
It would be like 10 minutes would go by, and then I'd be like, okay, it's like I've acted like I'm trying enough, and then I would like do this, like move my hands, like subtly, like I wasn't meaning to, but it's obvious as fuck that I'm moving, so that I could get out like subtly, without just being like, yo, fuck this, and just going to the other side. I would like act like I wasn't meaning to get out, but I would like master manipulate them. I'd be like, nah, you don't know that I'm doing this on purpose, but I just want out of the game. Because you could just go sit against the wall and just talk with your friends if you got out. But yeah, I would get out on purpose. Did you ever win? And I also was like a socially anxious kid, and I was shy, so I would never want to win. It was like me and 40 other kids. It's too much pressure to be the last one standing.
Yeah.
Because
then everyone's watching you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be like.
Oh
I tried to like lay back, like not get noticed at this thing, because I didn't know any of these people, and I didn't have like a good buddy. It's like a summer camp. I didn't go to school with these people. I didn't know them. Yeah. And it's only like it's like a month long. So yeah, I would try to get out quick. But campers, I feel like camps, like, they're just coming up with ways to keep these kids like occupied for like 8 hours until their parents can pick them up.
Yeah, literally, so that they can just like move on with their life. Anyways, we're going back to the cabin. Basically, like, it's night. So we see a few shots of the camp at night, and we see shots inside the cabin of all of the sleeping kids, and there's like hamster cages and just like random shit everywhere. And one of the girls has a book.
So this girl's like reading this book called No Exit by the philosopher, like French existentialist Jean-Paul Sartre. And it's just so
like,
random.
Yeah,
like,
she's like 7.
To be honest, I haven't read a lot of Sartre. I mean, he wrote this book called Nausea, and he wrote No Exit and other stuff. I actually have one of these books, but I haven't read it. But I know enough about him to be like, I took mental note of seeing that book, and I was like, what the fuck? That is not a kid's book. It's about, it's like nihilism.
Yeah.
It's basically like, there is no God. God is dead. Make your own way in this world. Like, you have to find your own meaning for life. Mm-hmm. It's like existentialism, like philosophy.
Yeah. And
like, if you ever had to read The Stranger, if you had to read that novel, The Stranger by Albert Camus in high school, it's like, imagine that. They were like contemporaries. Albert Camus and Jean-Paul Sartre. So it's like, and it's called No Exits. It just sounds like you're gonna die.
Yeah.
You will die. Basically.
Yeah. So.
Funny Easter egg.
Yeah, funny shit. I think.
Easter egg. Easter.
Oh my god, this is an Easter podcast. Boo boo boo. So we see that, I think we get, like, a little look at the, like, little girl that gets scared. I think she's, like, she sees Jason walking around, but that might be later also. Yeah, so it's the nighttime. Somewhere around the camp, the groundskeeper for the funeral home is walking around. He's drinking his whiskey. You know, just kind of singing to himself.
The guy's drinking, walking on the path, takes a swig of alcohol, and he's like, holds the bottle up in his face, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna be the death of me," or whatever. He throws the bottle behind him.
Oh.
He throws the bottle behind him into the air. He's like on a little walking path.
And doesn't
And then
let
he
it
like
fall.
he waits for the bottle to fall. He's like listening for the bottle to hit the ground and shatter, and it doesn't make the thud on the ground. And instead, Jason like puts an arm on him. The guy turns around. He's like, "Oh!" Jason crushes the bottle in his hand, and then he's just holding a shattered bottle and stabs the bottle into the drunk guy.
Yeah. So he passes away.
Tough stuff.
We hear him like scream, I think, and there's like a couple. Oh my god, this scene is wild. So there's a couple that's out, and the guy had just proposed to the woman. It's just like this random couple. Like there's just like a lot of random people like that they throw in there. There's not that many counselors that get killed. It's just like people that are like on a corporate fucking like paintball mission. People that are fucking like drunk and walking around. And then there's like this couple. So this dude just proposed to his fiance. They're having like a picnic in the woods. And she's like, I think the woman just thought that they were gonna go like fuck in the woods. So the guy's like kind of like in his feelings when we're in this scene, and he's like, I don't know, it's kind of like makes me bummed that you thought I would do all of this and you thought that I was just gonna like, we were just having sex. I like put a lot of thought into this engagement and you didn't even think that it was like special basically. And she's like, no, it's special or whatever, and I think she just wanted to have sex. And then they hear the like screaming or whatever, so they're like, that's sketchy, we should leave. And you're like, yeah, you should leave. And so I guess he hops on a motorcycle, and they're like, he literally revs it up, and Jason shish kebabs them both while they're on the motorcycle. While that gets shish kebabbed, Court is making very strange love to this girl named Nicola Parsley.
10 more minutes.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah. So they're playing this song, and okay, this is where she's like, yes, the best. The best. And she's like on top of him. They're both fully clothed. And he's like, oh, yeah, like, I'm, like, gonna come or whatever. And she's like, no, don't come until the end of the song. And then he's like, okay, how long's the song? And she goes, 10 more minutes. And he's like, fuck. And
he looks like he's, like, dying.
Yeah, he's like, he's really struggling. So, they're, you know, fooling around, and we see Jason outside of they're in an RV, and we see Jason outside, and he unplugs the power cord for the RV.
It was playing their music and like lighting the RV.
Yeah, and so then Court comes.
And he's like, oh!
And she goes, are you fucking serious? And he's like, yeah, it was the end of the song. Classic, my guy Court.
Court, the improviser.
So they're like, oh my god, what the fuck are we gonna do? I think Court...
They're like, who unplugged that? Someone had to have unplugged it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know, I don't care, just go plug it back in. And he's like, shit.
So I think he like looks, I think
he sneaks out of the thing, and then he sees that it's like destroyed.
Yeah,
or
it's
something,
frayed.
And he's like, oh shit, we gotta get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Goes back into the RV, gets in the driver's seat, he's like, we're getting the fuck out of here, babe. And like floors it. She's like flying around in the back of the camper.
This scene's so slapstick because she literally like, she'll be like walking up and getting her balance, and then he'll just like, he like will turn and she'll just like fly on the bed. It's so fucking funny. And then Jason is in the fucking like RV bathroom and he grabs her and she's like screaming in the bathroom and he's like, oh my god, babe, I love this fucking song. And he like turns it louder and he's like fucking just like ignoring the fact.
And it's Teenage Frankenstein or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Alice Cooper song.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah. Hell
Insane.
yeah.
And so Jason and Nicola are like struggling in the bathroom and then we just see
and he's like, oh, what are you taking a dump?
Yeah, oh my god. This scene is so fucking wacky.
And then he's like, you need some help back there?
And she's like and then Jason grabs her head and then we just see like the next cut is just like the indent of her face going into the side of the RV. So we see like the outline of her face.
Basically imagine like a Airstream or something, you know, it's got like thin metal walls. So she's in the bathroom inside the camper. Jason is pushing her head against the wall of the camper, like basically like nose and face like up against the wall of the camper. His hand is on the back of her head and he pushes her head so forcefully against the wall of this like vehicle that then with the next cut you see the indent of her like nose, forehead, mouth, like chin, all this shit pushing through the metal. Like he's pushing her head through the thin camper wall and it's molding to her face. It's fucked up.
Yeah. So and she dies obviously and then we just see Jason leave the bathroom. Fucking dumbass Court is driving, fucking vibing. He thinks that his girl is like coming to like jam with him or whatever, and I think he like turns around and he sees that it's Jason and Jason stabs him in the head with a hunting knife.
Yeah.
And obviously Court cannot drive the car after he gets stabbed in the head with a hunting knife. So the RV just like
dramatically wrecks.
Yeah, like explodes basically, and Jason just walks out.
And flips. And Jason, of course, just pops his head out like he's like unscathed little fucking Weasley.
Yeah, and just starts walking towards the camp.
He's got a mission.
The police come to the scene. They see all of these like murdered people, and they're like, Tommy Jarvis is in like psychosis and he thinks that Jason is alive. He probably is like so crazy that he's like killing people as Jason basically. So they're like, Tommy Jarvis is fucking like public enemy number one at this point. But Tommy linked up with Megan, the
Stallion.
the stallion. I wish. He contacted Megan, the sheriff's daughter, and he's like, please help me, like, please believe me that Jason's real, like, all of this shit. And so she believes Tommy, and they meet up and they're like they like formulate a plan basically. So while they're together, we're back at camp. This little girl has seen Jason walking around. She's like screaming, wakes up everyone, and she's like, and the two counselors come. She's like, I saw a monster and he was gonna kill me. She like talks like that. They're like, it's okay, like just go back to sleep basically. And she's like, okay. So she goes back to sleep. Sissy hears some shit outside. So she is, like, thinking that Court is playing a prank or something. She, like, leaves. She's walking around the woods. She stumbles upon Jason, who takes her head, twists it all the way around and off her body. So she's decapitated. So then we go back to, I think, well, after that happens, then there's a chase scene with Tommy Jarvis and Megan being chased by the police because, again, like, Tommy is suspect number one for these murders. So Megan is driving and she's like, okay, get down to Tommy Jarvis. So she, like, shoves his head down and he's just, like, staring at her crotch and he just goes, whatever you say.
Honestly, that scene is so hot.
It's so funny, and he's just, like, in her crotch. It's pretty fucking
And he's like,
sick.
ooh.
Yeah, the chemistry is unreal with these two. They get in this crazy police chase, and obviously they are caught, and they are jailed. So, so they're in jail. Back at the camp, Sandra is asleep. We see a bloody machete approaching Sandra's sleeping body. And we're like, oh shit, Jason's about to hack this bitch. But then it's the little girl from the scene before who woke up from the nightmare and she was like, I found this in the woods. And she's like, oh shit, what? Must be a prank. This bloody machete with fresh blood on it probably just smells like blood. Like, it's probably obviously blood. They're just like, it's a prank. She's like, let's take you back to the cabin. So she takes her back to the cabin again, tucks her in, and then she is walking back to the cabin and she feels like she's being followed. So she, like, kind of runs to the cabin, closes the cabin door. She's, like, scared. And then the door opens and she's like, oh no, like, and it's very tense and scary. She approaches the door, she closes the door, and has, like, literally a split second of relief, and then Jason just, like, he flings open the door, fucking starts attacking her. We just see screams and stuff, and then we get an iconic moment that has to be done no matter what the Friday the 13th film. Sandra's body is thrown through a window, but then he just drags her back in and just continues killing her. But I think I feel like the filmmakers were like, okay, we have to have, like, a body thrown through the window moment, so let's just, like, have it be Sandra or whatever. So that happens. Back at the jail, Tommy and Megan's, like, chilling, she's drawing. Tommy and Megan kind of look at each other and they're like, okay, we're gonna, like, do a plan to get out of here. So Tommy starts being like, so what you drawing? And she's like, none of your business. They're, like, acting like they hate each other. And he's like, let me see or whatever. And she's like, and then she, like, shows him or whatever, and he grabs it, and she's like, give it back. And then the, like, other police guy is there, the same guy that has the, like, weird laser pistol thing. He's like, cut it out, you two, or whatever. And then Tommy grabs Megan and they start, like, making out, and the guy is like, cut it out. And something happens and Megan basically grabs his gun and points the laser or whatever at him. And that's when Tommy goes, careful, wherever you see red,
Wherever the red
He
goes
goes
kaboom.
Yeah. Well, he says that, and then he's like, you gotta be joking or whatever. And Megan says something like, I'm not the one with the silly red nose. And the laser's, like, on his nose, like the laser from the gun. And I'm like, oh my god. They lock up the cop and they make their way to the camp. before they get there, all of the police get there. There's 3 officers. So there's the sheriff, who's Megan's dad. And then there's 2 other officers. So they show up to camp and they just see they are looking for the counselors, and the sheriff opens the counselor door, the door to the counselor's cabin, and there's just blood literally all over the cabin, and he's like, fuck. And that's when he realizes, like, well, Tommy has been in jail, so he knows that this isn't Tommy. So he's realizing, like, holy fuck. He's like, damn, what the fuck? One of the other deputies is out by the lake, and he gets killed by Jason. Jason, like, throws a dart through his head. And then another officer is walking around, and there's, like, a jump scare or whatever, and it's actually, like, the little girl, the girl that keeps waking up or whatever. Oh, fuck, I think before this, she was okay, so this little girl was in bed, and everyone's sleeping, and Jason's walking in the cabin. This was, like, before the police came. So Jason's walking in the cabin.
And that's
he's
when
looking
she
at
said she saw the boogeyman.
Yeah. So he's walking down the cabin, and she, like, sees him, and she's just, like, praying, basically, and he just, like, walks away. So she, like, is awake. So back in present time or whatever, like, she, like, jump scares the fucking, like, police guy, which is I was, like, kind of nervous because he was, like, had a weapon drawn and shit, and this bitch just, like, grabbed him or whatever. He could have just, like, fucking popped her, like, by accident, but luckily he didn't, and he's like, don't worry, like, you're safe now, basically. And then Jason just shows up, and he fucking, like, grabs this officer and crushes his skull in front of this little girl, and she just, like, runs away. And then she fucking, like, runs into the sheriff, and he's like, okay, we're gonna, like, figure this shit out. Like, he wakes up all of the boys, that he moves all the kids to one cabin, and he's basically like, stay here until I come back. And everyone,
so
like,
all the kids are in one cabin.
they're hiding under the bed. And one of the kids, so the same kid that goes, if this is the most exciting thing that happens this summer, we're in trouble or whatever, he just, like, starts fucking being like, well, I guess we're gonna die. And then he's like, so, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like, it's so funny. I was like, this is, like, literally so silly.
Yeah.
Anyways, the sheriff and Jason then have, like, a face-off moment. The sheriff literally uses all of his bullets on Jason.
He shoots Jason.
Oh, yeah.
Jason rolls around on the ground and then pretends to be dead. Then gets up.
Doo-doo!
And then he shoots Jason. He's like...
Doo-doo!
He gets that, like, 4 times.
Yeah, and it's just like, doo-doo! Doo-doo! It's so fucking funny. And then he's just like, well, fuck. Then starts running or whatever, and then I think it just, like... Megan and Tommy arrive, and Megan is like, Dad, or whatever, and, like, Jason hears that, and he's, like, going to go to Megan, and the sheriff is like, no, like, come over here, or whatever, and Jason basically folds the sheriff in half.
Oh, yeah. He, like... The sheriff's laying on the ground or something. He, like, grabs the sheriff's legs and, like, pushes the legs back onto his chest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so he dies that way.
And you just hear, like, a crunch, like...
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, he's dead. Your dad's dead.
So then he goes to find Jason. So Megan and Tommy, like, go to the cabin where everyone's at, and they're like, okay, like, it's okay, it's gonna be okay, like, whatever, like, we have a plan. So...
Basically, Megan's like, Jason! And then Jason goes towards Megan, and then Tommy's like, Jason! And then Jason goes towards Tommy. And then Megan's like, Jason! And then Jason goes towards Megan.
Yeah.
And then Megan is like, got her, she's about to be like choked to death by Jason or something.
Yeah.
And then Tommy's like, nah, come over here. And then he does. And he like leaves her alive.
Yeah.
Megan is unscathed. And then Tommy's got this whole elaborate plan with a chain and a rock and a boat and gasoline. Goes out into Camp Crystal Lake in the middle of the water, beckons to Jason. Jason walks out into the water. He's like under the water, under the boat. It's night. Tommy's out in the boat with the rock and the chain noose. He's like waiting for Jason to pop up so he can wrap the chain around his neck, throw the rock in the water, and hang Jason underwater to where he can't leave.
Escape, yeah.
Because apparently Jason has to be killed on his home turf.
Oh,
He,
yeah.
like, says that.
Yeah, he was like...
Apparently Tommy knows some Jason lore that we don't know about.
Yeah.
He's been reading deep in the like forums online. He's like done a deep dive on the Reddit. So Tommy knows that Jason needs to be drowned at Crystal Lake or something.
Yeah, it's some kind of like voodoo shit that he talks about.
So he's out in the water. It's not working. Like, Tommy notices some bubbles next to the water. He thinks it's Jason. He pours gasoline around the boat in a circle and then lights it on fire. And at first I'm like, this is fucking... if you did this, you'd be so dumb. I'd be like, dude, you're gonna burn our fucking boat.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna burn the boat.
It's like no.
But anyways, it makes a cool shot. It makes a ring of fire around this boat on the dark water. Jason pops up. They struggle for a bit. Eventually, Tommy gets the thing. Like, I think the boat gets destroyed. Tommy gets the thing around his neck. Underwater. The boat gets destroyed by Jason. They both go underwater. While they're underwater, somehow Tommy wiggles his fucking chain around Jason's neck. And Jason's getting hung, basically. But Tommy's also under there, like, in Jason's, like, chokehold.
Yeah.
Drowning. Megan goes out to, like, try to save them and is in a boat with a propeller, a motorized boat, and turns the boat propeller on Jason's face. Or no,
Neck.
So, sorry guys, I'm wrong. The boat's destroyed.
Yeah.
Megan goes out. The boat that Tommy was on had a little motor and a propeller. It gets destroyed. She, like, grabs the propeller or something and, like, holds it on his face.
Yeah.
She, like, grabs a part of the boat debris and, like, just completely saws Jason's face with it. Right?
Yeah. She until he like lets go of Tommy basically, and her. He grabbed her leg. She like hits him, and then he finally like sinks to
after
the
like a
bottom,
bloody pulp floats up to the top of the water.
Yeah. So
does she have to resuscitate Tommy?
Yeah. So she brings Tommy back to shore. All the kids are like watching while she performs CPR on him. We're all like, oh my god, Tommy is dead. Like, what the fuck? But then he chokes out water and he's alive. So Tommy lives.
Also
all
at the
kids,
bottom of the lake, right where Jason dies, is a Camp Crystal Lake sign.
Oh.
And it says Camp Crystal Lake, and then Crystal Lake is crossed out with red paint, and they wrote blood, so it says Camp Blood, and that's like Jason dies on Camp Blood's like sign.
So he is underwater. So everyone's alive. Well, not everyone. Tommy, Megan.
A lot of people aren't alive.
Most of the people are not alive, but all of the kids lived. I feel like they were like, we can't just like have child murder. I don't think any kid has ever died in Friday the 13th. Like, yeah. Besides Jason in the first movie. But, yeah. So, then I think the last shot of the movie is literally just like Jason's underwater and his eye is open. And then, we're just like, can't wait for part 7.
You hear
Woo!
the music again.
And that is the movie.
It's so good.
It's so good. Please watch it if you're gonna watch fucking any of them. Part 6 is what you should watch. It's funny.
It goes by
It's
fast.
fucking yeah. It's literally the most fun fucking movie ever. We love it. There's some good
I
ones
actually want to
still.
go through the kills this
Yeah.
time, so I'm gonna
Okay.
go through them really quick for you. So we have Alan, who, if you remember, is the Tommy's accomplice in grave robbing Jason. He gets his heart punched out, and then there's the boyfriend who's driving in the car. Quickly after that, he's a camp counselor. He gets impaled by the same spear that gets ripped off the cemetery gate. His girlfriend gets stabbed through the mouth with, I'm assuming the
same spear.
the same spear. And then next we have the paintball scene, and so there's the first paintballer to get killed gets impaled on a tree. His name is Bert. He had just gone on a rant about how he hates women. And then quickly after that we see the 2 paintballers that got shot by the woman and the woman. All 3 get decapitated by Jason's machete that he picked up from Bert. So that's 3 kills in 1 swipe. Then we see Roy, the nerdy paintballer with the glasses that's like a dork. He gets just like ripped apart by... You don't see him get killed, but you know he gets killed when you see all of his body parts scattered across the ground.
Mm-hmm. Like later that night, basically.
Also, it's funny when Jason gets the machete in this movie, he doesn't just pick up the machete, he picks up Bert's arm, his entire arm that he cut off or whatever, holding the machete.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He
rips it off.
Leans down off screen, grabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He realizes that he has like superhuman strength because instead of just because Bert has like a death grip on the machete because he was just like killed. So he just kind of like grabs it as if like whatever, and then he's just like, oh, I'm really strong.
Next is the gravekeeper Martin, the alcoholic high school graduate who gets stabbed with his own whiskey bottle.
Stephen and Annette is a couple, and they get shish kebabbed.
Next is a character named Nicola Parsley. She gets her head smashed through the camper wall, the wall of an RV, while her boyfriend Court is driving post-coitus, post-insemination. Court gets stabbed in the ear.
So then we have one of the other counselors, Sissy, gets her head twisted off. Then Paula just gets like slashed around, and her corpse is thrown through the window, and then he continues fucking her up, and the whole cabin is bloody. Then Officer Thornton gets a dart thrown through his head. Then another officer, Officer Pappas, gets his head crushed. And then our last death is Officer Garris, who's folded in half, literally. So, yeah, so those are the kills. There is 18 total. Lots of group kills here. Some 2-for-1s, some 3-for-1s. So, yeah. What was your favorite kill?
I'm going to say my favorite kill was chick who gets her head smashed through the RV, and then probably followed by punch through the heart.
Yeah.
Heart punch out of the body by Alan, the first kill of the movie.
That one's amazing. I would say mine is probably Sissy getting her head ripped off because it looks super brutal. I think the next one, just on like, I mean, it wasn't like super like gore. Oh, okay. Well, one, Jason's ass in this shot of him fucking, like,
Dump truck.
folding Megan's dad in half. Total dump truck ass.
Daddy
so,
killer.
for that reason alone, that's, like, probably actually my favorite kill. And also just, like, the sound effects. Like, there's a lot achieved through the sound of someone getting, like, folded in half. It's very gross. And also, it's, like, I feel like the whole time, like, we're, like, we kind of, like, are supposed to care about, even though he's, like, being a total asshole and not, I mean, he's being, like,
To
a
our boy
typical fucking
Tommy.
cop. But, like, I feel like we're, like, kind of rooting for him to, like, to take seriously that Jason's alive and, like, maybe he can help and shit, but, yeah, he dies. So, yeah, that's my favorite one, and then, yeah, that's the movie. How should we rate this? What should the rating system be for this one? We're going to rate this through 5 paintball corporate party participants. So
Corporate paintball party.
corporate paintball party participants. So I'm gonna go first. This movie gets 5 out of 5. Maybe throw in some extra limbs, like, in there. Because this movie truly has everything. It has fucking meta humor, great kills, great characters, Tommy Jarvis, peak Jason, indestructible peak Jason with a fucking dump truck ass to boot. Like, perfect movie. This is a perfect movie, period.
Can't argue with that. Out of 5 corporate paintball party participants out of 5, I would give this a 5. Perfect score.
Our first perfect score, I think.
Though, I mean, this is the best Friday the 13th movie, in my opinion, so far. Out of these first 6, this is the best one. It's so good. It's also my favorite, like, probably my favorite slasher movie out of the main franchise, like, slasher franchise. I like this more than any Nightmare on Elm Street movie I've seen.
Yeah.
At least right now in my life. So, I think it's pretty fucking good, so that's why I want to give it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Though it could have more boobs.
Yeah,
It
I
could
mean,
have it could have more boobs, it could have more gore, more
Yeah.
gory kills.
Mm-hmm.
It could have more camp counselor teen banter.
Yeah.
I feel like there's less counselors to get to know.
Yeah.
Whereas usually you are presented with like 10 counselors that each have their own like identity.
Thing. Yeah.
And they get killed one by one. This one's like a lot of randoms, like the paintball party crew.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, like we get to meet the couple counselors, but
Yeah, but it's
they get
not
killed immediately.
Yeah.
And then there's like the groundskeeper. So a lot of the kills are like characters that aren't developed whatsoever. They just get
Immediately
killed as they're introduced. All of their like scenes are good, but it's just they're not on screen for a long time
Yeah.
like some of the other movies. You know, it's got its flaws or whatever.
Yeah.
Another
It's
thing
not
I want
the
to say,
perfect movie.
it has like really good music, but the isn't very noticeable.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, I feel like it's not in this movie.
I would have liked them to thrown that in more prominently.
Yeah.
There's kind of variance on that sound.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
They kind of remix it a bit.
yeah, kind of. But it's not like the classic thing and that I want it to be for Jason Lives.
Yeah.
So
It also, I'm just remembering or like realizing, so like usually there's like a final, like the final girl tour basically, where everybody gets discovered pretty much by the last 2 remaining characters, but we actually don't really get a final girl tour with this. It just kind of is like we see the deaths and move on. I think maybe there's one reveal where we see like the like nerdy paintballers limbs, but like we don't see Paula's body again. We don't like see
Yeah, usually
Sissy's body again, or yeah.
Jason likes to take the bodies and like pile them in
Stage
one
them.
location or like in a house.
But you could argue that maybe it's because Jason's now like officially undead. His brains are like not really.
Yeah, in this movie, it's like the vibe is Jason is a reanimated corpse thanks to electricity. Like he's just got electricity that's like
powering.
It's
him.
like if you took a dead rat or something and like did some weird science experiment like Reanimator style and like put a cathode on his like brain and shocked him back to life and he twitched. That's like what I'm imagining. Jason is just like a twitching
is just murdering people.
Jason's just like a twitching corpse science experiment Frankenstein. So he doesn't have as much of like a. It's not like Jason is like setting traps necessarily. He just kind of sees you and then kills you. Mm-hmm. Like I said, this is my favorite Friday the 13th movie. One of my favorite slashers ever of all time. I would say this movie and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 are like two of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah, I would agree.
They seem kind of similar to me too, because they're both meta and funny and over the top.
Yeah. So, there you have it. Jason lives. Jason's still living at the end of this movie, so we shall see. We're going into the next few movies completely blind, which is very, very exciting. I can't wait to see what this franchise has in store for us.
So we did 4, 5, and 6, and now.
Oh yeah, we're taking a little. So the next movie we review, we haven't decided what we're gonna do next, but we're gonna take a 1 episode break from
like
Friday.
Last time.
Yeah, like last time.
When we did Waxwork.
So I mean, maybe we can do a little Instagram thing. Maybe if people want to participate and ask what movie we should do next. Y'all know where to find us: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Google Podcasts. And please follow us on Instagram, MPGP_podcast. Follow, like our posts, share our posts, get your friends to follow us.
If you know someone who likes horror movies, tell them to follow us.
Yeah.
We post funny clips from horror movies.
Craig runs social media and he does a really, really, really good job. So please follow us. And obviously subscribe to anywhere you like to listen to podcasts.
Comment, subscribe,
Yeah,
leave 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Follow us on Spotify Podcasts.
Do all of the things that we're telling you
Whatever
to do.
Whatever the fuck Google Podcasts is, do something on there too.
Yeah, we don't know what the deal with that is, but do that.
Do it.
And yeah, we love you, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.